Hello folks, my name is Dr. Charles Freeman. This is the Professor Chuck YouTube channel, and today we are going to focus on managing complaints specifically in the healthcare industry. Complaints in the healthcare industry, that's not a thing, is it? Of course it is. Any service industry is subject to complaints because you're interacting with the public on a routine basis. But in the healthcare industry, it seems that there is a lot more pressure and a lot more response and a lot more enthusiasm to respond from patients to their healthcare providers. Now, I took a quick glance at Yelp for my local area, and I was not really shocked, but I did see a lot of detail on complaints that were relatively new to me. The first one that caught my attention was an accusation of racism. Right off the get-go, one of the first things I saw, there it was. I saw complaints regarding timeliness of going to the doctor and not having the appointment when it was agreed upon. I saw a lot of complaints around the billing, that the amount of money that needed to be paid was much more than the person had anticipated. Now, I'm talking about patient complaints, and of course, in the healthcare industry, there are numerous other avenues for complaining to take place. You might have complaints amongst coworkers in a cross-functional environment. The front office staff and the back office staff and the laboratory and the provider themselves and the nurse practitioners and nursing staff. Lots of different entities with all good intentions and sometimes different priorities that could potentially lead to conflict and maybe even complaints. So another source of complaint is between organizations, and in the field as a civilian, somebody who isn't in the healthcare industry, you might not see this particular one, but again, it's a source of potential complaint where you might have a medical doctor who is a professional provider, a private practitioner who works inside a hospital. You have hospitals where the providers within the hospital are private practitioners, professional providers who are going into another working staff. That private practitioner may have their own office staff that now has to interact with the hospital's office staff as well. And again, the potential for complaints is there. Today I want to focus primarily on one that I think we can all relate to, because maybe you don't work in the medical industry, but for sure you either have been or will be a patient, receiving medical care. So I wanted to find an example of a specific complaint from a patient to a provider that we can go look at in depth and review for ourselves and then apply some of these principles to the situation. So I found a YouTube superstar, Dr. Mike. And about a year ago, so November 2018, he had received a complaint from a patient. Yeah, the specifics are there. He did a really good job of changing some details from his point of view to protect privacy and protect HIPAA, So he wasn't going to be in violation there. But he shared with the audience, with me, that a patient came to him and presented with the need for an MRI for back pain. After seeing the patient and listening to what the situation was, he had decided that that wasn't needed at that time. Patient did not agree with that assessment, went back to the hospital at one point, talked to an office manager, and said a couple of really mean things, taken out of context. Number one, the doctor was too spiritual. Number two, the doctor wasn't a real doctor and the patient wanted to go get real medical advice. Now, if that was you in any profession and you provided advice to someone and they came back and questioned your abilities, you could react to that very negatively and very strongly. In fact, reacting is one of the things we're going to talk about not doing at this point. I'm the process guy. We've got something in front of us, managing complaints. How can we apply a process to better manage complaints? So of course, there's steps to a process. Step one, this is one where you have to slow down instead of reacting as mentioned earlier and jumping in and solving it, my advice, slow down and understand first. One method to truly understand someone else is to start with a technique called reflection. Think about a mirror. A mirror is a direct reflection. So if somebody presents to you with a complaint, right, they're upset and angry about something, to take that in and to respond to them with, I hear you saying this, or what I hear you saying is this, and you're basically repeating back what they had presented to you. That is getting you towards that arena of empathy. That starts to establish a rapport that you're not committing to a solution. You're not committing that they're right or wrong in what they're saying. You're just simply reiterating what they've told you. Very important here. Hold off on reacting. The person's in front of you who's angry, you may want to get angry as well. This is the part where it's very difficult from an emotional standpoint to pull yourself out of the situation and to control it from the standpoint of reflection. Now, I said reflection. Someone's angry at you, reflecting would be being angry back at them. That's really not the case. It's more about the words in this situation. Now, after we've reflected, the next step is active listening. We want to build context here. We have to start asking questions, defining what the true problem is. And herein lies the heart of continuous improvement to managing complaints. There is a process to improve processes in Six Sigma called DMAIC, D-M-A-I-C, define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. Now, I'm not going to go into huge detail here on DMAIC, but I do want to point out it's a process to improve processes, but the improvement step is the fourth step. It's almost at the end. Define, measure, analyze, the first three steps is about building context. And to me, this applies directly to this situation. If someone's angry and I want to solve that and make it better, I have to build context first. And that's my primary goal. If I react simply to what they present to me at the beginning, I may solve something that may not be the core problem. And you've seen that. You've experienced that in the past. Someone comes to you extremely angry about something, and you react to that, and later on find out, well, that's not really what they were angry about. It was something else that triggered them for that emotional response. So in this case, you're separating out, hopefully, emotional responses from your ability now to manage this complaint and get to a resolution. Hope this helps. Give it a try. Let me know what you think. There are more steps to managing complaints than these first two, but I think this gets you off on a great start.